All right, we're back for more best bets here for college basketball like we're doing all season long. And here are the 5 best bets for November 19th here for this full college basketball slate. We've got some big games, the biggest one definitely being Purdue going on the road to Marquette. I think it's at 6 p.m. Pacific today, and then we got some other games too. I am going to be attending a college basketball game tonight as well, as you can see on the screen right there. Santa Clara versus UC Riverside. I was at Santa Clara's home opener, where they lost to the North Dakota State Bison. We will see how they fare tonight against the UC Riverside Highlanders. I mean, the game was $3, so, I'm going. You can, if you're watching ESPN Plus, I'll be sitting behind one of the baskets. You'll probably be able to see me there. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I'll probably be wearing a hat, a hoodie, and sweatpants. So you'll probably be able to find me if you look hard enough. If you are watching the only game on at 7 p.m. tonight, UC Riverside, Santa Clara, I will be there, and you can get my pick later on in the video. It's the final game we're going to talk about it. So let's do it. All 5 of our best bets today. And folks, if you haven't yet though, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our NBA in-season tournament predictions, so go make sure to check that video out. Again, we are predicting every single NBA game this year as well. Also, later today, in a couple hours, we'll have our college football week 13 predictions. This is our longest college football video I've ever posted, and actually, I think it's the longest video I've ever posted on my channel. It's over 2.5 hours long. Every single college football game this week. It's very long. If you're not interested in college football, I just suggest you watch my prediction for Indiana, Ohio State this weekend. Then thank me later after Saturday. That's all I'm saying. We also have our UFC Macau China predictions on the channel as well. Piotr Jan, Davison Figueiredo in the main event for the UFC. Make sure to go check that video out, as well as our NFL predictions that are coming out on the channel tomorrow. Okay, let's get into the first of our 5 best bets for the college basketball, or for college basketball today. Our first one being the early game. So, of course, we like to do this a lot, try to get you a bet for the first game of the day, obviously, to get the blood pumping. We like Quinnipiac to go on the road and beat Navy. Here's why. Quinnipiac's just the better basketball team. When you look at both these squads, Quinnipiac, simply put, just better. They're 2-2 this season. I get it, the midshipmen are 1-3, but Navy's coming off a 20-point loss to Campbell last game at home in Annapolis, Maryland. They were at home. They lost the game by 20 points. They were 6.5-point favorites in that game. I can't trust Navy to win any basketball game. Before that, lost to Rider by 11 points. They did beat Harvard by 5 points, but then they lost to St. Joseph's in their first game by 7 points. For Quinnipiac, they lost to Yale. They got blown out. It's fine. Yale's pretty decent. They beat WPI, they lost at St. John's, and they beat Maine in their last game by 5 points at home. Now they go on the road to take on Navy. Not like the midshipmen have the best home court advantage. And we get to back Amari Monroe in this game, the junior forward for Quinnipiac. He's been great all season long, averaging 15.5 points per game this season. Last year he was at Quinnipiac as well. Prior to that he was at Warford, but he's a 2-year player here at Quinnipiac, and he's been their best scorer all season long, along with their guard in Jaden Zimmerman, who's averaging 10 points a game. He is a freshman playing his first year of collegiate basketball. He has been great for this Quinnipiac team as well. He's from the Bronx. For Navy, they have one main guy on their team. It's Austin Benjini. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's their entire team. Seriously. This entire midshipman team is focused around this man right here from Woodlands, Texas, Austin Benjini. He's 5'10". He's been great early this season, but I don't think I can rely on, again, this is why I'm not picking Navy, I can't rely on a 5'10" point guard to be the only guy on this Navy team. They have Aiden Kehoe as well, who's not bad. He's their center. He's averaging 13.5 and 8 boards a game. That's great. The entire team, though, this entire midshipman basketball team is Austin Benjini and Aiden Kehoe. It's their entire squad. Quinnipiac's got an all-around better team. I think they have more depth, I would say. I like Amari Monroe. I don't mind Quinnipiac going on the road and beating Navy here. Navy, again, with only 1 victory so far this season, and it is that win against Harvard at home when Benjini gave them 34 points. They lost to Campbell 86-66. I'm not picking Navy to win a basketball game here, and I just like Quinnipiac more. I think Quinnipiac plays better defense. I think they have more scores. We're going with the Quinnipiac, Bobcats to go on the road to Annapolis, Maryland, and beat the Navy midshipmen. Our first best bet of the video. You can take the -1.5, but just make it easier on yourself. Take Quinnipiac money line at -130. That's our first best bet of the video. As we go on to our next one here, we move on to Nova at home here against Pennsylvania. We like the Penn Quakers to cover the 14.5 points. Do I have any confidence that Pennsylvania can potentially win this basketball game? The answer to that question is absolutely not. I don't expect Penn to get close, somewhat close, I think, but I don't expect them to win this basketball game. Obviously, again, the Quakers coming from the Ivy League, they won their first 2 games of the season against the New Jersey Institute of Technology. They beat Maryland Eastern. They lost back-to-back games at Lafayette and St. Joseph's in their last one. For Villanova, this has been an extremely disappointing basketball team. They beat Lafayette in their first game. They lose at home to Columbia by 10 points. They beat that aforementioned New Jersey Institute of Technology school, but then they lose to St. Joseph's and lose to Virginia. Here's why I'm taking Pennsylvania to cover the 14.5 points, all right? Villanova is just trying to win a basketball game. They don't care by how many points. They just need to see one, no pun intended. They need to see one go through the net here. They absolutely need it. They have 2 wins in the season against Lafayette and NJIT. Again, they lost to Columbia, they went on the road, they lost to St. Joseph's, and they just lost at home to Virginia. Nova is in deep water right now. They have to come through. Again, I'm not saying the Wildcats to win the basketball game. I think they most definitely do. Eric Dixon's been by far their best player so far this season. He's averaging 25 and 8.5. He's been great. But outside of him, the team's not that great. And again, this isn't much of me saying, oh, I like Penn this much this season. I mean, they've got guys. They got Ethan Roberts. They got Sam Brown. They have guys who can score on this team. But this is more of a we're picking against Villanova pick here. Just because, again, I don't love what Nova has done this season. Especially, again, now you get Villanova in a spot where they have to cover 14.5 points. I don't think that's too favorable for them. Again, I think they definitely can win the basketball game, and I think they probably will win the game. But expecting them to cover anything, especially for a team that's just trying to edge out a victory, now that's difficult. Give me the Pennsylvania Quakers to go on the road at Villanova. I'm not saying they'll win, but I definitely think they can cover. Give me the Quakers on the road to cover against Villanova. Next up, we go on to Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've picked a Minnesota game before the season. They didn't get us right in that North Texas game, so now what we're doing, we're picking against them, okay? Again, Minnesota hasn't really blown anybody out recently. They're playing Cleveland State, and I get it. Cleveland State's not the best. They're 3-2, but hear me out. They just lost to K-State by 13 points. Minnesota has struggled to blow out anybody this season. Minnesota has not covered this 14.5 line yet this year. They're kind of a one-man show. It's the Dawson Garcia show here. He's a senior. He's averaging 26 and 7, but Dawson Garcia is their entire team. Seriously, Dawson Garcia averages 25 points a game. Their next leading scorer is Lucy Patterson, who averages 8.5 points. And then Brennan Rigsby, who averages 7.5, and then Mike Mitchell, who averages 6.5. It's a one-man show. It's not going to take you very far. Now, I think Minnesota wins the basketball game, but just Dawson Garcia alone is not going to cover 14.5 points. Again, they have to win a game by 15 here. Minnesota hasn't done that all season long, right? They beat Oral Roberts by 30. Oh, wait. They did beat Oral Roberts by 23 points. With the exception of Oral Roberts. Sorry. They beat Omaha by 4 points. They lose at home to North Texas. And they beat Yale at home by 3 points. Minnesota's a team that struggles to score. Because, again, outside of Dawson Garcia, they don't get much production. It's just him. That's why, again, their point totals this year are 68, 51, 59. Yeah, they're 3-1, but just look at the way that they win. For Cleveland State, this is a team that's 3-2. Of course, they're from the Horizon League. They did get blown out at Michigan their first game of the season. Whoops, they lost by 48 points. They beat Baldwin in their next game. I'll be honest, I don't know where that is. They went to K-State and only lost the game by 13 points. They beat Valpo by 8 points, and they beat Eastern Michigan by 8 points as well. They're building now, right? Now you go on the road to Minnesota. I'm not expecting them to win the basketball game, but what we get out of Cleveland State is an all-around collective team effort, right? They don't have one guy who, again, sets himself apart from everybody else. If you want to mark one player, it's going to be Dylan Arnett, who's averaging 13 points, 13 and 8 so far this season. But you've got so many other guys who can score as well. You get Tevin Smith. You get Jashawn Stevenson. You get Taj Stavsky. Probably butchered that, but he averages 28 minutes a night. He's averaging 9 and 2. You get Cole Franklin, who's averaging 7 points. You get a bench player in Chase Robinson. You get Reese Robinson, who puts up 19 minutes a game but averages 6 points, right? You just have so many guys who play productive minutes for this Cleveland State Vikings basketball team, and I do think they're able to stay in this game here with Minnesota, especially a Minnesota team that is so one-dimensional, and once you get past Dawson Garcia, they don't really have much to offer. I like Cleveland State to cover this game a lot. I don't think they win the basketball game. If you're willing to lay the plus 900, go ahead. I wouldn't do it personally, but if you have confidence in Cleveland State, go do it. I do like them to cover the 14.5 points, though, again, because Minnesota just has not been all that great all season long. They haven't blown anybody out. I feel like this is a really good spot to take Cleveland State here. Again, they're a 3-2 basketball team so far this year. This is a team that was in the CBI last year. They won a game in the CBI against Northern Colorado before losing to High Point. Like, Cleveland State knows how to win. Last year, again, they were 20-14 in the regular season, 11-9 in the Horizon League. They ended up losing to Oakland, the eventual winner of the Horizon League, in their conference tournament. I feel fine taking Cleveland State here. Plus 14.5 feels good against a Minnesota team that really, right now, doesn't put up big points and really can't blow anybody out. So give me the Cleveland State Vikings to go on the road and cover the 14.5 points here at Minnesota. Next up, we go on to the biggest game of the day by far in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You get Marquette at home, well, again, in Milwaukee, getting 4.5 against Purdue. I like Purdue a lot in this spot. I do. Again, it's virtually a home game. It is. Marquette's in Milwaukee. It's a home game for Marquette. They're playing where the Bucks play, obviously. We picked Purdue to beat Alabama earlier this season. I get that game was in West Lafayette, but we picked Purdue as underdogs at home to beat the Crimson Tide, and what happened? They won the game by 9 points. I have said that Purdue is one of the best teams in college basketball this season. I get it. They lose one of the greatest college basketball, like Zach Edey or not. Impact-wise, Zach Edey was one of the best college basketball players in the generation. Given, was he all that fun to watch? Was he all that dominant? No, but influential and impactful players, yes. Zach Edey had an impact on every single Purdue game because of the way he played, and honestly, it was just because of his size. But still, post Zach Edey, I still think Purdue's fine. Fletcher Lawyer's back, Braden Smith, you get Trey Kaufman, Wren. They have guys still in this basketball team that are going to produce. Braden Smith is going to move the ball. You got guys who can score, like Kaufman, Wren, like Fletcher Lawyer. That's really, I mean, those are the big players and the big stars in this Purdue team. I think they're able to go on the road here and beat Marquette, a Marquette team that struggled mightily at Maryland, and they still won the game, good for them, but a team that struggled mightily in that Maryland game. They only beat Central Michigan by 8 points, and they blew out both George Mason and Stony Brook. Again, games they're expected to blow out. Cam Jones has been phenomenal this season. He's averaging 24, 4, and 5. He's been great for this Marquette team. He is the main player on the squad, along with David Joplin. You got Chase Ross, Stevie Mitchell. They've got players, sure. I just think Purdue's better. I just think they are. Again, both these teams were. Purdue was a 1 last year in the tournament. Obviously, Marquette was a 2. Both these teams played in Indianapolis last year during the NCAA tournament. I did see Marquette beat Western Kentucky. I just think Purdue's the better basketball team. I don't really care. They have to go on the road. Milwaukee is not that far from West Lafayette. It's an hour plane ride. There's not big travel for Purdue. I think they'll be fine in this game. The Boilermakers have been in big games already this season. They just play Bama. They now get Marquette. They get a big game against A&M around Christmas time, along with their game against Auburn. Like, Purdue is set up to play big games this season. I do like the Boilermakers a lot this year. For Marquette, they have some big games coming up as well. They get a huge game at Iowa State. They go play Wisconsin right after that as well. Like, there are big games that Marquette's playing. They get Georgia coming up after this Purdue game as well. But I do like the Boilermakers to go on the road here to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and beat Marquette. I think we get great value with them as underdogs. Again, we picked them in their last game as dogs against Alabama. We're going to continue to ride the Boilermakers here. If we get plus money with Purdue, we will take it. Give me the Boilermakers plus 4.5 on the road at Marquette, plus 160 on the money line. We like the Purdue Boilermakers to get it done here on the road against the Marquette Golden Eagles. As we go on to our final game, again, I will be present at this one. We've got the Santa Clara Broncos taking on the UC Riverside Highlanders. Now, this season started with us picking Santa Clara. We picked them against St. Louis. They haven't won a game since. Santa Clara has been very disappointing. Very disappointing. If you watched yesterday's video, I did pick North Dakota State. They lost, obviously. They got blown out. But I did go kind of in depth about that North Dakota State-Santa Clara game. Obviously, I was at it. It was a game that Santa Clara was in control of. They were up by 23 points at one point in that game. I was sweating because I think NDSU like plus 14.5. Obviously, NDSU came back and cut the lead down to 10 with 2 minutes to go. You're thinking, okay, well, we're going to cover the spread, but Santa Clara is going to win the game. No, NDSU cuts the lead from 10 down to they tie it and send the game to overtime. And then North Dakota State outscores Santa Clara like 10-2 in that overtime period. And now here we are. Santa Clara since then, of course, went on the road. They went to Reno and they lost 85-59 to Nevada. It's this is a spot right now where Santa Clara is going to try to get back on the right track against UC Riverside, but they're playing a Riverside team that has won back-to-back games. We did pick against them in the California Baptist game, and Cal Baptist did lose to Riverside, so good on the Highlanders for that. They are led by Barrington Hargris, who's averaging 19 points per game. Caleb Smith is giving them a good 14, as well as Isaiah Moses, who's averaging 13.5, and Nate Pickens, their guard, who is averaging 11 as well. They've got players who can score. You got Jack Whitborn also in the glass, who plays big minutes as their center, doesn't really score, averages 4 points a game, but is bringing down 8.5 rebounds a game as well. Riverside's got some players, they do. I just don't think Santa Clara should be favored they shouldn't be favored 7.5 points against anybody right now. Just they're not playing that great. They've got some players, don't get me wrong. Their center, Christoph Tilley's not bad, he's huge. You got Adama Alpha Ball as well, who, watching him play in person, he's not the game changer that I thought he kind of was. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna see him again, obviously, tonight, so I'll get a better assessment on him. But Ball wasn't that great in the NDSU game. Elijah Mahi's probably their best guy right now. I would say he scores better than Adama Ball is able to. Cameron Tung, you know, he can do some cool dunks, but he's just an athletic 4 who can slash. I don't know. I came into the season really high on Santa Clara, and I felt even better about them after, you know, we successfully picked them to beat St. Louis, but then I watched them play Arizona State, wasn't that big on them, and then I saw them blow that lead to NDSU. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the Nevada game, but they got blown out in that one. Yeah, I think Riverside has a really good chance to win this game. I'm not going to pick UCR to win, but we really like, and the best bet of this particular game is the Highlanders plus 7.5. I think it's a great play. Again, UCR this season, I get it, they lost their first 2 games, but they only lost by 6 at BYU. They lost to Oregon by 15. They came back, beat Cal Baptist, and beat La Sierra in their last game, 79-51. And here you go. Now you get Santa Clara on the road in the Levy Center, and I like UCR to go in here and cover this spread. So again, watch out for me on TV. If you're watching the game on ESPN Plus, I will likely be visible. I'll be behind one of the baskets, probably actually the one that's not the student section. So it will be the one that, actually, I don't know how they determine. I don't know. It's the side of the Steve Nash banner. I'll probably be there. You'll probably see me behind the basket. Regardless, I might try to sneak my way to courtside. I don't know. I'm going to try. I don't know. You know, I paid $3 for tickets. We'll see. But we are taking the UC Riverside Highlanders to go on the road and to cover the spread against Santa Clara. But ultimately, yes, we still do expect the Broncos to win the basketball game. So, folks, that'll do it for our 5 best bets for the college basketball slate here on November 19th. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Make sure to go check out our NBA predictions posted again an hour before this video. And make sure to check out our full college football week number 13 predictions. That's going to be posted in a couple hours time here on the channel as well. So folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you are enjoying these daily college basketball best bets, and make sure to leave a comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.